Good day, everyone. Matt Sikes here again with Verify. Thank you for setting the table there for me, Juan. What we're looking at right here is a lab instance of mine that's running some upcoming code in our next major release of Verify 25.10. This will include a real-time call manager widget keying off of phone registration and statuses. So this is essentially what the widget will look like. It will fall into the drop list of all the other call manager widgets that we do support. Now, it does have drill down capability and functionality. It will have some additional options in Rev 2 that I'm going to get into in a moment. But first things first, I guess I want to set the table a little bit and just kind of discuss this very briefly. Now, so phone registration statuses. I mean, this widget was certainly kind of devised and introduced, to provide, real-time registration status of all the devices for one, safe to say, which certainly is supported for our on-premise Verify instances only at this time. But it does allow, Cisco IP phone registration states to be organized and viewed on one or more dashboard widgets, based on device pool and other search criteria. So now we certainly do have uh, secondary modules. Certainly one I'm going to point to is going to be the change management and as-built reporting module. We will come back to this widget here, but I just kind of want to set the table. So Verify certainly performs in our change management module here, automated snapshots to run from on the call manager on a nightly basis. So certainly we've had that in our wheelhouse for some time. The as-built reports can be ran off of those snapshots, i.e., the phone registration as-built report that will deliver us, at a point, excuse me, at a point in time, or real-time configuration if you were to run this manually on the fly. But certainly can include and incorporate all the summarization and registration statuses of all the devices within your call manager cluster, the unknowns to the rejecteds to the certainly registered devices and all of their layout, IP addresses, directory numbers, etc. So this is certainly functionality that we've had for some time. Now, while this is good to have, this can be either ran ad hoc or it can certainly be scheduled for automation. Now, that is not maybe as ideal for the field that they may need. Certainly, that's where this kind of request came from, was the field. But being able to identify these adds, moves, and changes on the registration statuses of all the devices in Call Manager at a moment's notice. Instead of leveraging kind of this more of a historical, as built inventory kind of report for the registrations statuses. Now we will have the option to go ahead and leverage it in a real-time dashboard widget, which is very very exciting that we're all very looking forward to delivering this value to the field. Now, certainly, yes. So the as-built reports, yes, they can garner from the current call manager as it sits right now, but not time over time necessarily. So if we need to kind of get a good sneak peek or a good shot of all the devices that are loaded into these device pools and what their statuses are, certainly that's what this widget is going to bring to the forefront pretty easily. Now, as I made mention, it will have drill down functionality as well. So pretty easy to build this guy out, and I'll start us with maybe just building one from the ground up, and maybe I'll just pick on the Chicago device pool. So as I made mention, I'm going to go ahead and on the dashboard that is running Verify version 25.10.x or greater, we'll be able to go ahead and create a brand new widget underneath Call Analytics, pick on the Call Manager cluster of preference. The widget type, now we have the new option in here, real-time phone registration. So we'll go ahead and we'll select that guy right there. I'll probably just throw a naming convention of Matt Test on it or something along those lines. But as we can see here, same configurables that we've kind of had for, or that we have for most of the call manager widgets. The type is going to be kind of locked down because it is very unique and special. So it's not going to be able to go ahead and change that on the fly. That's why this cell is kind of dim, and meaning that you cannot change it. While on some of the other historical ones, you certainly can. But a lot of the other stuff is going to be pretty familiar, color themes, icons, a sort direction as well. But now this widget specifically, we are only going to group it at the moment by device pool. That seems to be the need for the field, but certainly we're open to any suggestions or recommendations there. But for Rev 1, we will be grouping by device pool. We will have options to go ahead and then sort the results by the names of the device pools or the corresponding total phone counts. So two options there. Now, there's going to be kind of search criteria. While limited, this should certainly garner what we need for this widget. Now, there's going to be two different options. Device pools is going to be the default offered one. And this will probably be the one that most people will be go ahead and leveraging, but there is a secondary option for a device description filter. The match all criteria is there if we need to add them together, but certainly can be turned off to or these two search parameters together as well. Now, the device pool drop-down list will be reading Call Manager as Call Manager sits right now from a sync earlier in the day. So normally there will be a sync running off of Call Manager for this need for this widget on a daily or nightly basis. Certainly can have multiples of those, but don't think that's necessarily needed. But at the moment, so device pools we can see here in my lab, I only have a handful or so. I'm just going to pick on the Chicago device pool. But again, all of your device pools will certainly be available in this drop list as well. So if you need to start clicking away, or if there's maybe a pattern based off of the device descriptions we can use, certainly both of those options will be on the table for you. Now, there's already a synchronizing matching that's running on this nightly, so I'll go ahead and leave that alone. But now we can certainly include empty device pools as well if we want those to be showcased in the widget output as well. But now there's going to be some column options in this table widget view here. Now we can certainly go ahead and just grab the kitchen sink and throw it from left to right. These are going to be the select ones that will be appearing in our output. I may just inch total phones towards the top and maybe just get registers up there as well. Unregisters partially, and then we'll leave the more obscure ones, database only, rejected, et cetera, down towards the bottom. And there is also an option for a summary status bar as well, statistic bar of how many phones, etc. So again, I can certainly throw the kitchen sink over here, but let's just not go ahead and do that. Let's key on how many total phones. Let's look at total registers, unregistered, partially. Where's partially at? There we go. Partially registered, and we'll do some rejecteds. As you can certainly see, and we'll do database only. Just grabbing phone counts. Certainly, as you can certainly see here, there are definitely percentage options as well. So if we need to kind of tabulate those in addition to or in lieu of, you certainly may. But now, this is all the configurations really that I'm going to need for this widget. Give it, a title label. Um, the default grouping is going to be by device pool. Default sort is going to be by name. Again, you can certainly change that. And then the filter or the search criteria is really going to be based around device pools for the most part. Now, again, go ahead and selecting those, selecting your column options for the widget output, as well as the high-level summarization bar as well. We'll go ahead and save this. It should look identical pretty much to this row right here. But again, the ability to go ahead and just kind of build one from the ground up. So here it is right here. So we can see without a moment's notice here, we can see, yes, the Chicago device pool has 302 phones that are actively assigned within it or defined, let's just say. 300 are actively registered, 2 are database only. So the database only kind of, does make reference for it, not for the phones. Let me just say this: the phones do exist in the call manager database, but they're not currently registered to any of the CUCM nodes within the cluster. So whether that's a phone being unplugged, disconnected, or something along those lines, essentially there's no registration status for that phone to any call manager node. Okay. But now we can certainly drill into these as well, which is secondary, but also a fantastic feature to have. So as an example, if I want to drill into all 302 of these total phones for this Chicago device pool, I will get an additional pop-out page here that looks something along these lines. Now it's going to key off of my widget name, certainly the device pool that I'm rendering in my search filters or my search criteria. And then obviously the status, the one I did drill down into, which was total phones, not total registers, but certainly any of those links on the previous page, you can certainly drill into those if I wanted to go into the 2 database ones, which we'll do in a moment or so. But these are the total of the 302 phones assigned to the Chicago device pool. Now, certainly we can see all of the device max descriptions, the product type, the status as well. The timestamps, and then the IP addresses, the call manager node that is actively assigned to, firmware if applicable, but there are additional columns as well. But you can certainly see there's pagination here, so we're not gonna cram 302 rows into one page. So there's definitely pagination and ability to kind of bounce around as well. The show hide columns. Now, quick little easy window right here. So we can go ahead and add additional columns or resort things as need be if we wanted to move some fields around or drop some out, or even just grab the remainder of the available detail options that we do support. We can certainly just chuck those from left to right. Now, maybe a little too busy, but again, there's definitely options to go ahead and cater this to your output preference, of course. Just simply clicking on the show hide columns and kind of sorting or removing or rearranging the columns as you see fit. Now we've added a few more options on here. So line 1 DNs, partitions, protocols, IPv6s, last registration date timestamps as well, but also end users if applicable, inactive firmwares. So there's definitely a lot of content that can be derived from this. Now, this is certainly Rev 1, I will call this. There's more polish coming to this down the line. There will be a report export button that's going to go right here, just to the left of the show hide columns button. So people will be may want to go ahead and run a quick export report from this widget. Certainly, will be able to do so in lieu of going into the as built function and kind of running it from there. So certainly that report can be kind of tangible directly from the widget and kind of exported right into your hands in a moment's notice. That logic is coming down the pipeline soon, but it will not make Rev 1. But again, at the end of the day, this is certainly a fantastic new offering that Verify is supporting here. Um, Now, this is just lab phones I'm looking at here. Certainly out in the field here, you're probably going to want to be digging into a lot of the unregistered devices or the partialies as well. But for this example, I'll just drill into these two database only phones. So underneath looks like Tommy Richards here, and then some other 7821 phone here is a use case example. So these have no registration status at all to any of the call manager nodes in this collab cluster here. Essentially, our database only. So those are being highlighted as well. So again, ease of use to be able to go ahead and modify this and manage it as well. So as we can certainly see here on the larger table view as an example, you can definitely have a whole boatload of different device pools in here that you may need to keep tabs on. Again, you can have more than one of these widgets, just like all of our widgets. There's ability to go ahead and play around with the appearance factors to kind of punch it up or make it a little as valuable as possible on the dashboard layouts. Now, whether or not we play around with some vertical spacing, I do love the tiny option myself with a little punch up on the font size scaling. But again, ease of use to go ahead and kind of lay these out, um, which has been very traditional of the Verify kind of dashboard kind of offerings and support configurations behind the scenes. But again, we will also in Rev 2 have, let me think here for a second, threshold options, where if we wanted to go ahead and illuminate certain colors of how many devices within this DP actually have failover or are partially registered or are rejected, et cetera, et cetera. So export report generations from the widget forthcoming, as well as the color coded thresholds to make those expressions to make administrators aware of this in the environment. Now, I suppose, why is this important? Well, from it may not be that important to the directors or the supervisors within environments, but certainly from the admin side of the house. Now, I definitely kind of build certain things out within within other environments out in the field here, where I'm kind of gauging. Pardon me, gauging exactly what's going on with the environment as far as dormant devices, abandonment call tracking, emergency dialings, capacity utilization on PRIs or SIP circuits, et cetera. So certainly able to go ahead and kind of provision a widget just like this into a an admin board for kind of review that may not be used as readily available as maybe necessary, but certainly something that can be kind of bookmarked or used by the IT admin team when needed or when requested, or if someone needs to keep tabs on this, certainly something that can stay open and running as well. Now, this is definitely it potentially could be a single widget dashboard as well. I know we don't necessarily need to make things as busy as are unneeded, if that's not the case. But again, we can certainly play around with this. We can definitely resize things, but as well as that as well. So while we can certainly drill into the device pools, we can identify the phones. We can see what their status options are. We could even secondarily, if we wanted to, probably even remote into that phone if we wanted to. So as an example, any of these user devices, which I think these are all Phantom, but again, we do have the remote phone control module as well, where if we actually needed to, to actually control and look at one of these phones that are actively registered within the environment, certainly we can go ahead and, well, of course, it pops up on another window. We can certainly drive into those and perform the control function, identify anything on the phone that we need to secondarily. Now, again, this is a little more hands-on at the device level if we needed to, but again, these are the same corresponding devices that we're going to be able to read and leverage in these widgets as well for the real-time registration functions. So this will certainly provide inventory. Also, where there's a lot of phones being unplugged, moved, and things of that variance. So that we've certainly heard from the field. This is definitely going to deliver on that. Now, this widget is refreshing every couple of minutes, and it's probably in the future probably going to be brought down a little more speedier than that. But again, this should be refreshing every couple of minutes. So those adds, moves, and changes, phones being unplugged, phones being unregistered, etc. Certainly, this will give high level of visibility to that in a matter of a couple of minutes. So this is definitely very valuable for the field, and we're very excited to start offering this as well. So, um, myself personally, I'm going to definitely uh, advocate for this out in the field as well because there's definitely again there's just a lot of deliverables that this does offer that is of again of the real time variety where you don't necessarily want to wait on an as-built report that ran from this morning off of a snapshot, or if you have a humongous environment trying to run an IP phone registration report off of real-time inventory and configuration, that can be a little time consuming. So, I mean, report that runs, 15, 20, 30 minutes or so, if there's a lot of devices versus, a widget that's going to render this content pretty snappy for you within a matter of a couple minutes. So this definitely keeps things on par, makes you aware that, if there are certain conditions, if you've got hundreds of phones that are now, rejected or unregistered, with something, happened to, a certain switch panel that took down all these phones or unregistered from the network, i.e. from call manager. So certainly this will deliver a lot of bang for the buck there. And it will be also included as just as a feature upgrade, honestly. So there's no additional support dollars or anything of that nature. This will be baked into our natural offerings as well. Again, coming out in Verify release 25.10. Now, I think this is kind of short and sweet, nothing too overarching, but we definitely wanted to kind of give some exposure to this Rev 1 that's coming down the pipeline that's due out in a couple of weeks ahead of GA, just to make aware that, this has been worked on, this is actually coming to fruition here, and it should be here very shortly. So again, a lot of different things to speak about. Again, there will be thresholds, there will be report generations off of this, but the ability is to be able to render, device pool counts and be able to drill right into the phones themselves is very very performant. That being said, I guess I don't have too much else to showcase. This was just kind of a quick sneak peek, but something, as you can probably hear, I'm pretty excited about, and I hope others are as well. Juan, my friend, might there be any questions out there for us by chance?
Yeah, I can tell you that I'm excited about it for sure. This is awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
great information that we're going to be providing for our customers
definitely.
for sure. Um,
Swift as well, right at their fingertips. Yeah,
exactly. Yes. So Robin does have a question. She asks,
please.
or he asks, can you further describe the difference between unregistered versus database only?
Good question. So unregistered would signify that this phone was at some point registered on Call Manager on one of the nodes. So good question there. But yes, so phones that were actively registered and are no longer registered, whether that was from an ITL cert or again being unplugged or something along those lines, and replugged in but not re-registered with a new node as an example, they'll go unregistered first before they go database only, if you will. Or there are certain phones that do get created, I guess, on the back end of Call Manager that don't get registered at all to a node at the onset, would kind of fall into that database only category.
Got you.
hmm
Okay.
Yeah, there's even rejected guys as well. So there's a couple of these different classifications as well. So there's going to be rejecteds, there's going to be database only, there's going to be failovers, etc. So again, no active IP address, but certainly is, this guy is registered to the call manager on a .49, whereas the database guys should be barren. There should be no association to any of the CM nodes on them.
Interesting.